hello, and welcome back to another Let's Talk with R.C. Blakes. I am R.C. Blakes, and it's my great privilege and pleasure to be able to welcome you to another Let's Talk session. I want to jump right in. Tonight we're talking about 10 questions that you must ask before marriage. Don't say I do until you've done this, until you've gone through this list of questions that I have for you tonight. I'm going to give you the questions. We're going to talk about why they're important, what it means, the answers, what some of the answers might mean. And it's better to ask the questions in the beginning than to wait until after the fact and then stumble your way through a breakup. The Bible says in Amos 3:3, can two walk together except they be agreed? Well, how do you come to a place of agreement? There has to be some level of interrogation, questioning, friendly questioning. Because questions reveal, listen to this statement very carefully, questions reveal what chemistry conceals. Whenever you feel like you're in a situation where you just head over heels about a person, it's time to really buckle down, get out of your feelings and get into your brain and ask questions, because questions reveal what chemistry conceals. And how many people are carried away to the altar based on chemistry, only to discover there was never anything comparable, that there was never a real equal yoking. It was just chemistry. Every year, people stand before God, family, and friends, and promise, until death do us part. Many of them sincerely love each other. That's the sad part. Many of them have chemistry. Many of them, pray together, go to church. Many of them enjoy one another, but within just a few years, some of them are asking the painful question, who did I marry? And the tragedy is not always that they married the wrong person. Sometimes the tragedy is that they failed to ask the right questions of the person. Chemistry can introduce you to a person, but questions introduce you to their character. Attraction may reveal what you desire, but questions reveal what you're actually dealing with. One of the most dangerous assumptions in dating is to believe that time together automatically produces understanding. It does not. Time creates familiarity. Chemistry creates excitement. Attraction creates emotional attachment, but none of those things automatically produce agreement. The Bible gives us a remarkable picture of this principle when you look at the life and times of the Queen of Sheba, when she met Solomon. In 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1, we reference it all the time in queenology. It says, and when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to, I love this, prove him with hard questions. You're not even throwing out soft questions, easy questions. The Queen of Sheba came to prove him with hard questions. She did not come merely to be impressed. She came to investigate. She came to discern. She came to prove him with hard questions. She was already impressed. She was already attracted, but she needed to prove her attraction. She understood that her desire needed discernment, and there is no discernment without questioning. The Queen of Sheba understood what modern dating culture often forgets. Questions reveal what chemistry conceals. Or as we famously put it, as we put it in queenology, questions reveal motives, and queens ask questions that only kings can answer. Questions expose what appearances conceal. Questions uncover what emotions overlook. Questions reveal what attraction may hide. You know, most people interview someone applying for a job more thoroughly than they investigate the person they intend to marry. You're going to bring this person into your life, your bed. You have children, your children's lives, your family, your friends, and you do more investigating of a person you're hiring for a minimum wage job than you do of a person that you're anticipating bringing into the intricate, intimate parts of your life. They research a vehicle. They research a vehicle. Let me see if I can find some water. Research a vehicle more than you examine the person you plan on sleeping with, having children for. Then you wonder why major incompatibilities appear after the wedding. The reading the Bible says, be not unequally yoked together. The idea is not to yoke up and then discover you're not equally yoked. The idea is to discover that you're not equally yoked before you get yoked. You can't discover that unless you're asking questions. But as long as you are around here buying into modern day dating culture where, you just trying to, entice a person with your physique or your sexuality, and you just batting your eyes and y'all just listening to music and having sex and don't, this is how you get into a situation where you marry a narcissist and then 10 years later wow, there's a light bulb moment. I have a narcissist here. Marriage is too sacred to be built upon assumptions. This is again why Amos 3:3 says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Notice Amos did not ask, can two walk together except they love each other? He did not ask, can two walk together except they are attracted to each other? I need my type. I want my type. He asked whether they agreed. Agreement is deeper than attraction. Agreement is deeper than chemistry or type. Agreement is the alignment of values. It's not your type, it's your kind. It's the alignment of values, convictions, purpose, expectations, and direction. But agreement cannot be assumed. Agreement must be discovered. And discovery requires intentional questions. Chemistry creates attraction. Conversation creates discovery. Discernment determines compatibility. The quality of the marriage you build tomorrow will often be determined by the quality of the questions you are willing to ask today. So let's jump in. And this is going to be a two-parter because it's just too much content, unless I move speedily. Number one is the question of ownership. This is what he gets to, the question of ownership. Here's the question. Tell me about the biggest mistake you've ever made. Tell me about the biggest mistake you've ever made. Now, before you ask this question, understand this. You are not judging the mistake. You are evaluating their relationship with responsibility to the mistake. You see, ownership is the willingness to accept responsibility without shifting blame, without making excuses or minimizing personal accountability. Every would-be marriage will experience disappointment because every marriage contains two imperfect people. The issue is not whether mistakes will happen. The issue is what happens after the mistake. Can they say I was wrong? Can they tell the truth without protecting their image or their pride? Can they explain, what they learned? Or does every story end with someone else being responsible? People who own their mistakes usually grow from them. People who justify their mistakes usually repeat them. And let me say this to you. There are some very attractive people that are your type, that move you sexually, that turn you on, who can't own their mistakes. And you won't realize that character flaw until after you've said, I do. And now you have to live with a person for the rest of your life that is going to always make you or someone else the blame for things that are clearly their issue. Can you live with that? Because if they blame everyone in this answer, here's what they will likely do in marriage. They will turn every conflict into someone else's fault. Every conflict will be someone else's fault. You made me beat you up. You made me beat you up. You made me, a man, grown man would tell you, you made me put my hands on you. So you got to listen carefully when you ask this question. Do they accept responsibility? Do they blame everyone else? Do they minimize their actions? Do they demonstrate humility? Do they explain what they learned? Can they explain anything they learned? Proverbs 28:13 says, he that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. Look what the word says in Psalm 51:3-4. It says, for I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, and thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight. David's restoration began when his excuses ended. People who explain everything rarely change anything. People who explain everything rarely change anything. So here's the imperative, the most necessary thing to remember. Never build a future with someone who cannot honestly own their past. Never build a future with someone who cannot honestly own their past. Question number 2. Here's the question of teachability. This is what we're getting to with this question. When was the last time someone told you something about yourself that you didn't want to hear? When's the last time you've been confronted with something you didn't want to hear by someone? Teachability is the willingness to receive truth, correction, and wisdom without allowing pride to reject it. Because marriage is one long journey of growth. And if a person says, nobody's ever told me anything that I didn't want to hear, that's a red flag. Because we all have moments where we need to hear some stuff we don't want to hear. And if a person has a so-called community that is never sharing with them anything that they don't want to hear, it's probably an indication that they punish people for telling them the truth. And now their community has simply come to a place where they accept that this person is who they are, and they're not intimate enough with them to share anything with them. Wow. Do you want to live with that? That means every healthy marriage, you got to understand this. Marriage is one long journey of growth. This means that every healthy marriage requires correction. Sometimes your would-be spouse will see something in you before you see it in yourself. And if a person cannot receive correction while dating, they will not suddenly become teachable after saying, I do. So pay attention to the spirit of the answer. Do they become defensive because you even asked the question? Do they mock the person who corrected them? Do they still insist everyone else was wrong, not me? Or can they say, it hurt to hear, but I needed it? Because that sentence reveals maturity. Correction is not rejection. Correction is investment. So listen carefully for, can they receive difficult truth? Do they become defensive? You know, if you tell them at the table, y'all just, you've been dating a while, and you say to them, you know, you're using the wrong fork, and all of a sudden they get heated. I'm not using the wrong fork. Eating a whole steak with a dinner salad fork. Cutting a steak with a butter knife. I'm not using the wrong utensils. And you can see they just get visibly. Babe, that's a red flag on fire. God set it on fire for you. Make sure you don't miss it. You can't only see it, you can feel it. You feel the heat coming off this flag. Do they honor those who corrected them? Can they describe how they changed after hearing something that was not comfortable to hear? Do they still resent correction? You got to know these things. You got to pay attention to this. Proverbs 27:6 says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Friends will hurt your feelings to preserve your future or your life. Enemies will make you feel like you're right when you're wrong because they care nothing about your future. If you got a fool that does not honor the people who care about his or her future, you need to know that before you walk down the aisle saying, I do to this situationship right here. Proverbs 12:15 says, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Correction rejected today becomes crisis tomorrow. Never consider marrying someone who believes growth is for everyone else. Hold on, let me see. I need my amen corner. Never marry someone who believes that growth is for everyone else. Never do it. Never do it. Oh, that growth is for you. That's not for me. Now, let's see. Question number 3. I'm moving along pretty nicely here. Question number 3 is the question of accountability. And here's the real question. Who has permission to challenge your decisions? Who has permission to challenge your decisions? You know, like if you were to ask me that, I would say my wife. Yeah, my wife has permission to challenge my decisions because my decisions are going to impact her. She absolutely has a right to challenge my decisions. My pastor, My brother, who I work uh, in ministry with, he has the right to challenge my decisions. My mother, my mentors. If you got a person that has nobody that they've given the right to or permission to challenge their decisions, you got a problem. Especially if you're a woman submitting yourself to a man. Why would you submit yourself to a man that's submitted to no one? I'm following nobody that's submitted, that's not following anybody else. Even Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. Make certain that what you see me doing is in step with Christ before you get behind me. You see, accountability is willingly placing your life under the influence of trusted people who possess the wisdom, character, and courage to tell you the truth. One of the most dangerous people in the world is not the uninformed person. Let me say that again. One of the most dangerous people in the world is not the uninformed person. It is the uncorrectable person. Everyone has blind spots. Everyone has blind spots. The problem with a blind spot is that the person who has it cannot see it. And so when you ask who has permission to challenge their decisions, you are asking about the government of their life. Who can tell them they are wrong? Who can interrupt a destructive decision? Who can confront them without being cut off? Huh? If their answer is nobody has permission, you have learned something very important. Get your grip and go. GGG, get grip, go. Easy as that. Get grip, go. A husband who answers to no one may eventually expect his wife to answer only to him. You have a controller and a manipulator there. Wherever you find a man that's not submitted to anybody else, that's a dangerous position for you to put yourself in as a woman. A wife who refuses accountability often becomes unreachable when conflict arises. That's the wrong woman for you to be trying to go down the aisle with. She ain't accountable to nobody, and everybody else wrong, and she just popping all of this gum and everything, lips all greasy and everything, listening to nobody, and now you trying to marry this. So you got to listen carefully for, do they have trusted mentors? Do they value pastoral leadership? Most of y'all in church is calling people your pastor. That's just your preacher. And he your preacher because that's where your friends are. You don't really have a pastor. Because a pastor is somebody that gets all in your personal business. They don't force their way in. You invite them in and they give you the truth. They don't go up in there trying to manipulate, manage your life. They got to manage their own life, but they're going to give you the truth. Most of y'all don't have no pastors. You don't want nobody up that close. Do they seek wise counsel? Can they name someone who has challenged them recently? Do they believe they no longer need advice? Lisa and I just recently went to a business conference, because we've been all about ministry. And the reality is we run businesses, and the two intersect, but you gotta know when you've moved out of the ministry lane into the business lane. And so we went to this business conference of, 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. Wow. Sitting there listening to these numbers. I'm like, my God. And we sat down with someone who's a friend, and that friend gave us some real direct input. It didn't feel comfortable listening to it, you know, but from a business perspective, that friend was right. And we sat there, masters at what we do, but students in that setting that we were in. We sat there and we took that advice and we've started moving on it. But if you believe that you no longer need advice because maybe you're successful in an area or two, is that somebody you want to marry? Because marriage is about growth. Proverbs 11 and 14 says, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. Because you got to understand this. A person nobody can correct is a person nobody can safely follow. A person nobody can correct is a person nobody can safely follow. So here's the imperative for you. Never marry someone who cannot be corrected by anyone. Never marry someone who cannot be corrected by anyone. There's nobody can correct, and you marrying it. Praise the Lord. Let me see if I can get a little water while you all ponder that. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. Number 4 is the question of healing. You can't wait until after you marry somebody to discover they still broken and not even on the journey of healing. Here's the question. What promise did you make yourself because someone hurt you? What promise did you make to yourself because someone hurt you? I ain't gonna trust nobody. I ain't gonna believe nobody. I'm not gonna ever allow my heart to be fully invested in no relationship again. What promise did you make yourself because someone else hurt you? You see, a hidden vow is a private promise. It's made in response to pain that quietly governs future decisions. And relationships, are no different. You get involved with a person that's made these secret vows, you become the collateral damage of that pain, that unprocessed pain that they carry. Most people believe they are, dating from hope. Many are actually dating from hurt. After betrayal, someone says, I'll never trust again. After abandonment, I'll never need anyone. I'll never need it. After being controlled, no one will ever tell me what to do. After rejection, I'll never let anyone get that close again. Those statements become private agreements. And years later, the relationship has changed. Now, I will say this. Doesn't mean that a person that's been hurt and made these agreements with him or herself, that's a deal breaker. But it is a deal breaker if this person is not on the journey to healing and does not recognize that they need to heal. Because I had to deal with some of this in terms of our relationship, Lisa and I, because of the abuse that she experienced as a child. But she recognized that she needed to heal. And so when we got married and got together, she was on her journey. And I didn't have any time restraints on when she would arrive at certain places. And in a lot of ways, she's still healing today. But being on the journey is enough for me. Let's heal together. Let's heal together. There were things that I needed to heal from. Let's heal together. But we both got to be healing together. You can't be in a place where you broken and don't realize it and you refuse treatment. You see, the people have changed many times. The season has changed, but the vow remains. So what began as self-protection eventually becomes self-sabotage. They don't even realize it. A future husband may pay for another man's betrayal, and a future wife may pay for another woman's deception. Healing does not merely remove pain. Healing breaks the agreement we made with the pain. So you got to listen carefully for, can they identify their emotional wound? Can you say it? Have they taken responsibility for healing? Can they distinguish wisdom from fear? Are they still allowing yesterday's pain to govern tomorrow's relationships? I love what Isaiah 43:18-19 says. He says, remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Romans chapter 12 and verse 2 says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Pain does not just hurt people. Pain hires itself as an advisor. Woo! Pain doesn't just hurt people. It employs itself as an advisor. And here's the imperative. Never ignore the promises someone made in pain. Now, number 5, and I think we will shut it down here and we'll resume next week for part 2 of this. Here's the question of conflict. And here's what it sounds like. If we disagreed on something, important, what would you expect to happen next? You see, conflict resolution is the ability to pursue understanding without sacrificing respect, without sacrificing truth or emotional safety. Conflict resolution, I must say that again, conflict resolution is the ability to pursue understanding without sacrificing respect. If we disagreed on something, is it going to turn into vulgarity, physicality? Are the police going to have to show up? Or do you have the skill set to be able to disagree peacefully, even agree to disagree? Because every couple will disagree. The issue is not whether conflict will come. The issue is what conflict reveals. Pressure does not create character. Pressure reveals character. Dating someone hides conflict because people are still trying to impress each other. You're on your best behavior. Marriage removes the performance. When you ask this question, you're discovering someone's conflict philosophy. Do they discuss conflict or do they avoid it? And just, go into silent mode for 2 weeks. My God. Do they punish you, in other words, with silence? Or do they explode, tear up all the furniture in the house? Y'all got to replace the furniture 4 times a year. Or are they sarcastically, do they sarcastically attack you? Hidden below the belt? Do they pray through it? Do they seek understanding? You see, most people fight the way they watched their parents fight until they intentionally learn another way. Like, I fight the way my dad fought my mom. And my dad fought my mom by letting her say whatever she needed to say. He never cursed her. He never got aggressive with my mom. Never. Not one day in my life I ever see my father get aggressive with my mom. And the way my dad fought my mom was he let her have her peace and just sat there and he listened. And then, when it got to be too much, he would say, Lars, that's enough. And then mom would respectfully back down off of whatever she's talking about for the last hour and a half. And she'd leave him alone. And then I'd see them come together later and they would discuss whatever it was that was concerning her. And they would together find, a neutral ground. That's the way my dad, and that's pretty much how I deal with my wife. We don't, it's not a whole lot of arguing and screaming and cussing. We don't do all that. None of that. We don't do that. So when you ask this question, you got to listen carefully for, do they shut down? I shut down. I blow up. Well, I'll just say something slick. What comes up comes out. Mm-mm. Do they seek understanding? Can they apologize? Can they forgive? I hold grudges. I don't forgive nothing. Oh my God, you trying to move forward with this because this person is fine? It ain't that much fine in the world. James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20 says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Proverbs 15 and 1 says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. You see, the first fight does not reveal your marriage. It reveals your training. And here's the imperative. Never marry someone who wins arguments by losing relationships. Whew. Never marry someone. Never marry someone who wins arguments by losing relationships. So that's part 1. And we will go into part 2 next week. I want you to invite some others to come in and join us next week for part 2. Also, if you need counseling, there's a link in the description for BetterHelp Counseling. It's called therapy that fits you. You can do it from the convenience of your own home. You'll have a licensed counselor, not just somebody talking. It's private. You can walk around until you find the counselor that really suits or fits your life. Look in the description and you'll find a link for BetterHelp Counseling right there in the description. Now, also consider this. This is what we call the Queen Conscious Bundle. Heal, Awaken, and Reign. It's my 3 books. Father, Daughter Talk, Queenology, The Training for Reigning. Heal the daughter, awaken the queen, reign with purpose. I call this the trilogy. One of these days I'm gonna print one leather-bound document with all three of these messages in it, because these three messages build on one another. Right now, for a limited time, you can get the Queen Conscious bundle at rcblakesstore.com for $33.99, of course, plus shipping and handling. Go there now and acquire that. I want to thank all of the moderators. You all are just absolutely amazing. Amazing. I appreciate you. And I want to say to those of you that have been on the fence about the Royal Court, you should join the Royal Court. It's an amazing community. And I'm practicing my coaching skills. I'm getting ready to, in 2027, we're taking the whole RC and Lisa Blake's Ministries thing to a whole different level as it relates to coaching. And I'm practicing some of my strategy, approach, framework in the Royal Court. And it costs absolutely nothing. You should be a part of it. We just had our monthly meeting by Zoom, and they can tell you, if they're in here today, they can tell you it's an amazing community. Don't forget also to go to RC Blake's store and pick up all of the On Top Going Higher gear and all of my other books right there at RC Blake's store. Just know that I love you. I'm trying to make certain that I'm not missing anything. Announcements. This feels like a church with the announcements. Just know that I love you with all of my heart. And because of that, you're on top, you're going higher. We'll see you at the top. Keep your ear to the ground about our travel. We're going to be sharing real soon where we're going in 2027. And we'd love to have you to join us in 2027. Till then, just know that I love you. You're on top. You're going higher. God has more in store for you. This has been Let's Talk with RC Blakes. Just know I love you. Till next time, have an amazing night.
My queen, my queen. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen. She's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying. Back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. So judges do, but she prevails and stands tall, a champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. And where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, yes you are, eccentric, empowering. You're mine, she's a queen. You're mine, you're my. Treat her like no price could be put on how much she's worth. So valuable, she's the soul of the earth. Yeah. All a part of God's genius plan. Powerful as she can be, the man's H-E-L-P. Yes, sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She is humble, honest, and helpful. What I like about her is she's educated. She's my ebony, empowering. Yeah. She's my queen. Sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She's amazing to me. Humble, honest, if you ever had one. She's educated, she's my queen. She built me up, she keeps me going. Sophisticated, strong, she's my queen. She's simply amazing. She is, oh my, she's my queen. She's educated and she's empowering. She is my queen.
Let's talk. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go with RCBLAKESJr. Let's go. Let's